Minecraft is a fascinating game. Huge mountains, wide open plains, and an entire world that can be shaped on the player's whim. Yet, Minecraft's segmented development history has left some aspects of the game overlooked. I've been playing Minecraft for 13 years now. Over time, I've developed a good understanding of how Minecraft is developed, including getting multiple ideas added to the game. That's why I put together a collection of over 100 ideas I believe could improve the Minecraft experience. Today we continue our journey exploring these ideas. This is the list. Our first idea on today's list is to make Ravagers rideable and tameable. Why? It's kind of ridiculous that a mob like the Ravager can be ridden by NPCs but not the player. You can clearly in the game see the Ravager being ridden by evokers and pillagers. You can see the saddle it has on its body, and it even drops a saddle 100% of the time on death. Clearly, all of this indicates it is a mob that should be able to be ridden. What could be done is this. If the player attempts to ride a Ravager during an active raid, the player briefly gets on the Ravager, but then is instantly thrown off. Think of a horse bucking the player off, but it throws them a little bit higher, and then it continues attacking that player. The same thing would happen when the player tries to ride a Ravager that's not part of an active raid, just in the normal world. But if the player were to feed an enchanted golden apple to a Ravager that is not part of an active raid, the player should be able to ride and control the Ravager much like a horse. However, the Ravager will continue to attack other players and villagers, just not the player that gave it the enchanted golden apple. The same thing would happen for 2 minutes when the player feeds it a regular golden apple. But the effect wears out, and after the 2 minutes is up, the Ravager bucks the player and attacks them again. The Ravager would also not be able to jump. It would only be able to run up 1 block at a time. This is great because it makes sense from an in-game perspective and provides additional engaging gameplay for late-game players. Who doesn't want to ride a glorious wretched Ravager beast into battle? Heck, you could even have everyone on your team tame it with an enchanted golden apple, then release it onto the battlefield to have it go after your enemies. It also provides another much-needed and fun use to the enchanted golden apple, which is only used currently for PvP and maybe once for a banner pattern. The no jumping aspect keeps horses and camels relevant as a better way to travel, since they can jump and the Ravager can't, while adding a unique mob to PvE and PvP battles. A player riding a horse, or 2 players riding a camel, would make an interesting battle against someone riding a Ravager. The horse would have the mobility advantage, while the Ravager would have the advantage when it came to close quarters combat. This could potentially bring in a new era in Minecraft PvP, the era of mounted combat. Allow players to copy banners within the loom. Players cannot copy a banner in a loom. I don't get why this isn't a thing, and the player can only copy banners in the crafting table outside the loom. This needs to change, as all other crafting of banners is now done exclusively within the loom. Why not this too? Add a barometer to Minecraft. Why? World height is now 384 blocks. This means when mining or building, it is now sometimes difficult to gauge your Y level in the world. You can achieve this using the F3 debug menu, but this isn't elegant, and Mojang have stated on numerous occasions they'd like to reduce dependency on this menu in gameplay. I propose adding a barometer in Minecraft which can tell the player their height. This helps determine what level they are at in caves and how high up they are if they can't see the ground near world height. It would also be useful in the Nether and the End, as well as in construction of farms or planning builds without F3. I propose that this recipe could be a compass surrounded by 4 copper ingots. Add quicksand and quicksand patches to deserts. Very similar to powdered snow in the mountains, quicksand would be a trap block that players could fall into. It would look similar to normal sand with a slightly different texture, think sort of like suspicious sand to differentiate it. You would slowly fall into the quicksand if you encountered it, like powdered snow, but you could keep your head above this quicksand by spamming your jump button. Think of it as being in a cobweb and jumping. Your horizontal movement would also be slowed. It would take a few seconds to break the quicksand blocks, it is sand after all, and it would be affected by gravity. If your head were to completely sink into the quicksand, which would generate naturally between 1 to 5 blocks deep, you would start taking suffocation damage inside that quicksand. You can use an empty bucket on quicksand to get a bucket of quicksand, and you can then place that down elsewhere. I believe this to be a good addition to the game because it would offer another slight environmental hazard which Minecraft sorely lacks. But don't take it from me, take it from what the developers said in 2018.
Our deserts have always felt a little
in need of refreshment.
Thanks, Tiny Jens and Agnes. Leather boots could also protect you from falling into these small patches of quicksand. If Mojang ever get around to updating the desert biome with the palm trees and meerkats, quicksand would make a great addition alongside those other features. Allow players to throw fire charges. Minecraft combat is sorely lacking in fun, long-range weapons. Allowing players to shift-click to throw fire charges would add a new element of ranged fire into the game. The fire charge would travel in the same manner as if fired from a dispenser, except by a player's hand. This would allow players to rain fire on their opponents, but it takes a while to get to them, and can clearly be seen on approach. A balanced and fun weapon to add to the game. Lingering potions should be able to be thrown like ender pearls. Lingering potions are not currently used often in combat. The reason is that they're expensive to make and don't offer much benefit over regular splash potions. The main use of lingering potions should be to restrict access of players to large areas. This is obvious due to its area of effect cloud, which covers many blocks. However, the effectiveness of this AoE is severely reduced as the throw distance of lingering potions is barely more than a few blocks. Increasing this to the same distance or trajectory of an ender pearl would allow players to lock down entire areas of the battlefield if they took the time to prepare. Thus, strategy and player creativity becomes more important in PvP than it currently is now. Potions of levitation should be a thing. Potions of levitation should be able to be brewed by using a shulker shell in a brewing stand. The reason is that we already have a potion of slow falling, and I found myself numerous times wishing I had a way to levitate upwards in survival without having to also take damage from shulkers. These potions would not be overpowered despite what you've heard, as any player affected by levitation, even in a PvP scenario, would have the following options to escape. Potion of Slow Falling, Elytra, Water Bucket, Cobweb, Hay Bale, Bed, Twisting Vine, Weeping Vine, Glowberry, Sweetberry, Powdered Snow Bucket, Slime Blocks, Honey Block, Feather Falling Boots, or Milk Bucket. All of these items either entirely or partially reduce fall damage, or get you out of the possibility of taking fall damage in some way. That is an insane number of counters. Besides, you can also move around while you have the levitation effect. It's not like you just become a sitting duck. You can actually still fight while you're levitating. Who doesn't want to have levitation fights? That's just awesome. Not to mention the uses in survival buildings for hands-free elevators. It's too awesome not to add, and the arguments against it are rubbish. It needs to be added. Snowballs should stack to 64. Why? They're snowballs. You can carry 64 snow layers, you can carry 64 snow blocks, but somehow not 64 snowballs which make up both of those things? Get out of here, man. Saddles should stack to 16. Why? They're literally stackable in real life and are actually designed to be stacked. Dark oak leaves and oak leaves should have separate textures. Didn't think we'd notice, but we did. This is not a joke, by the way. They're literally exactly the same. No other leaves are the same. Not even azalea leaves that has literal oak logs as its tree. They should be separate. It can't be that hard to make dark oak leaves different, or, I don't know, maybe slightly darker? Is it possible to advance without a microscope? Does dirt contain roots? And where do rainbows lead? I must find these answers. Until next time, happy crafting.